Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a Shortstop with a Shortstop. Today we're going to talk a little bit about washing feet and being humble.
Someday, and the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall arise, no more sorrows.
I can't help but every time that I think about Lou Gehrig and I watched his speech, and you hear that phrase, I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth. He humbled himself, talking about how fortunate, how lucky that he was to be able to have played baseball and be part of the New York Yankees organization and to do the things that he did. But he didn't talk about himself. He talked about how fortunate that he was. And if you ever go and listen to some of the Hall of Fame speeches, if you've ever heard Joe Morgan, he was very humble. If you listen to Don Sutton, he was humble. Mike Smith, Johnnie Bench, and many others that gave those speeches, they all talked about how fortunate and how lucky and how humble that they were to be able to have done the things that they did. I'm not taking anything away from their ability and the things that they accomplished, but in their speeches, they humbled themselves just so very much. And here just a couple of weeks ago, there was a golfer by the name of Scotty Scheffler, and he was arrested here in my home state of Kentucky, up in Louisville. He was playing in a golf tournament. All he was trying to do was go to work, but he spent about an hour in jail because they arrested him. But after he got out, in the very first interview that he gave, he said, hey, I hold nothing against the police. He said, I appreciate all that they do, and I want them to keep doing the things that they do and to make sure that they help keep people safe. And Scotty was just very, very humble. And he's the number one golfer, not in the United States, but he's the number one golfer in the world. And the Son of God, Jesus Christ himself, humbled himself. And in John chapter 13, verses 3 through 17, we'll get to that in just a minute. But I want to talk just for a second or two about washing of feet. If we look in Genesis chapter 19 and verse 2, it reads like this. And this is Lot talking to two angels. And he said, now behold, my lords, please turn aside into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way. They said, however, no, but we shall spend the night in the square. Now these were two angels. And in the Old Testament and all the way up to the time of Jesus, most of the people wore sandals. And when they traveled, it was a very arid and dry surroundings and type of country. And when they got through for the day, their feet was dirty. And they needed water to wash their feet. And the majority of the time, it was a custom that if, say, you were a sergeant in the Army and a major or a general was coming over to your house for dinner, the lower person would always wash the higher person's feet. And it would show humility and humbleness. And now what I want to go to is John chapter 13. John chapter 13, verses 3 through 17. Now this is Jesus getting ready to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus, knowing that his Father had given all things unto his hands, and that he had come forth from God and was going back to God, got up from supper and laid aside his garments, and taking a towel, he girded himself. Now that's one of the things I want to hit on right there is Jesus took his garments off and then girded himself with a towel. Now, we're not actually going to do that today, and that's not what Jesus wanted us to do, was to take our clothes off and put a towel around us and then wash other people's feet. And if we're going to take this literally, that is one of the things that we would have to do. But reading on, then Jesus poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel, which he had girded himself with. So he came to Simon Peter, and he said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? And Jesus answered and said to him, what I do to you, you do not realize now, but you will understand hereafter. And Peter said to him, Never shall you wash my feet. And Jesus answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me. And Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, then wash not only my feet, but also my hands and my head. And Jesus said to him, He who has bathed needs not only to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. For he knew one who was betraying him. For this reason he said, Not all of you are clean. So when he had washed their feet and taken their garments and reclined at the table again, he said to them, Do you not know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so am I. If I then, the Lord and the teacher, wash your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you also should do as I did to you. Truly I say to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is one who has sent greater than the one who has sent him. Wow. What is Jesus trying to teach us here? He's trying to teach us humility. Why? He was the Son of God who came to earth, who was a perfect man. But yet, him being the higher class person, lowered himself to wash his disciples' feet. And that's what he wants us to do as New Testament Christians, to humble ourselves and not be selfish, not be prideful, but to be humble and do the will of God to the best of our ability and help other people. In Matthew chapter 18 and verse 4, Whoever then humbles himself as this child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. You want to be great? Be humble. Serve other people. Don't think that you're higher than anybody. Then in Matthew chapter 23 and verse 12, it reads as follows. Whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. Now, if you want to be exalted, humble yourself. People realize that you're a real person, that you're considerate, that you love what you're doing, and you're going to try to help others to the best of your ability. Jesus gave us an example of humility. And if we're going to be like Christ or be like that little child, we want to be exalted, then let's be as humble as Jesus was and wash other people's feet with everything that we can do on this earth while we're here, and try to study with other people and let them become New Testament Christians also. Thank you again for being with a Shortstop with a Shortstop.